darling viewers, this is Jen here at Chuck Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Mechanica by Betsy Cornwell, and this is a steampunk retelling of Cinderella. And it focuses on Nicolette, who is an inventor and kind of saves herself, which is awesome. The story stays pretty true and follows the typical Cinderella storyline with the mother dying, the father remarrying, then the father dying, and Cinderella being left with these stepmother and stepsisters who hate her and make her do all the chores. There's also the grand ball in the future that is kind of the big climax of the book, um, and kind of just hits the main tick points for Cinderella, but it does it in its completely its own way. Uh, so on her 16th birthday, Nicolette discovers this letter that was left to her from by her mother, and she follows the set of instructions to find this hidden workshop that her mother had. And her mother had been an inventor, and she had started teaching Nicolette how to do these, like build these things and repair them. But she dies, and when the mother dies, the father shuts the workshop up, and Nicolette is forbidden basically to build anything new. So there's like a 6 year period, 6 or 7 years, um, where she's not allowed to work on her mom's stuff. So when she finds this workshop and finds her mom's notebooks and all the stuff that she was building, it's this really cool connection to her mother, but also this really cool um, new pathway for her where she can build and invent her own future basically. She goes from being forced as to work as a servant to maybe potentially being able to get out of that situation, which is really cool. Um, this story doesn't have a fairy godmother per se in it, although fairies and fairy magic play a big part of this, and Nicolette's mother offers guidance through notebooks and kind of discovering her mother again. The story does kind of cover all of Nicolette's life. It has flashbacks, which I really love, to when her family was whole with her mother and her father and how that used to be, with her mother inventing things and her dad going off as a traveling salesman to sell these. Then we get to see Nicolette struggling with her mother dying. And then this hope when she's like, oh, I'm going to get stepsisters and I'm going to have like a family. Then that hope getting crushed because her stepfamily is, awful. It's Cinderella. And when her father dies, how she's forced to be a servant and clean up and take care of her family, doing chores that she's not particularly good at or particularly enjoys either. Um, there is this big build up to this ball at the end of the story, but it's not Nicolette's main goal. The ball is one part of this big fair exposition thing, where their country is trying to show off all their really awesome and amazing talents and especially mechanical abilities because they are moving away from this period in their past where they used to have trade and working with the fairies. And so there's this rebellion against magic happening. So there's also this political bit to this story where um, the the queen ends up dying directly because of the fairies, because of this poison and disease that originated in the fairylands. And so the king is like, yo, no more fairies. Fairies are bad. Fairies killed my wife. And so there's no longer allowed to be trade with the fairies. They're not allowed to use magic anymore. Any fairy who was living in the land gets deported out. And so Nicolette grew up with a fairy as a butler and with her mom kind of working with fairy magic. And so she's like torn between this is the law and, fairies aren't that bad. Which I really like this whole twist that happens with the fairy magic and the political stuff. I also am intrigued by the fairy societies because of the way their family structures are set up. So instead of like a mother, father, and their children, families are basically a group of friends who decide to live together. And they don't have male, female the way we do. They kind of are just one gender, which they refer to the pronoun fee instead of he or she. So it's FE, which I thought was cool. And then when they want to get pregnant, they just kind of wish and it kind of happens because magic. which I thought was interesting. So I'm really intrigued by the fairies and how that society works. Like, I want to see more of this. In Nicolette's quest to build new things and try to get enough money to move out of her step's house, buy her own house back, she starts selling her stuff, which I love. Like, this whole bit where she's trying to figure out how to sell her stuff and going to the market, and she doesn't know you're supposed to rent a booth ahead of time, so she ends up making friends with Caro and Finn. Um, and I love the two of them and how all three of these friends become really close and how supportive they are of her and how she tries to help them. So I love that developing friendship and um yeah, there's some really cool themes in this book. It's definitely feminist and uh a bit with the transgendered stuff with the fairies and the not really having a gender, I guess. Gender identity issues, I guess, they're dealing with, which was really cool. I love seeing that. We also have this atypical relationship with a prince where she's a Cinderella figure in the story, but she doesn't like her end goal is not to marry the prince. So I liked kind of that ending changes a bit from the story. Um, Basically, I really liked the story and how it tackled the Cinderella story, and it worked within that, but also made it different enough to be its own thing, and also the whole way that the world operates, with the inventing and the fairies, and just awesomeness. So this book does have a sequel coming out this summer, which I am super excited for. Everything about it sounds awesome, and I can't wait for it. I know people who read this book when it first came out, and we didn't know there was going to be another book, were complaining about like hanging plots and things that don't quite get resolved. Um, yes, I saw that when I was reading this book, but since I know there's going to be another one, it didn't bother me as much. Um, yeah, so I really want to know what the fairyland looks like from the inside. So please, I cannot wait for book two. Um, Basically, I gave this book 5 stars. Like, it's amazing. I'm also really in a fairy tale kick right now, so that totally fits into that. Um, yeah, I loved it. I loved it for its fluffy fairy tale ness, and I loved it for every other part of the message that it brings about. Um, yes, it's awesome, is what I'm saying. I love it a lot. So totally go check out Mechanica by Betsy Cornwell if you love fantasy, fairy tales, engineering, women who can take care of themselves, and awesome friendship and gender identity issues, I guess. Fairies, different societies and rules, I guess. Um, there's a lot happening, and I think it works wonderfully together. So I love it. Yeah, go check it out. Peace out. I love you guys and keep reading. Bye.